Hello, everyone, and welcome to the broadcast. I'm Ash, and with me is my beautiful co-host, Suze. And unfortunately, Tammy's not able to join us again tonight. Hope she's doing well. Also with us is our favorite fact checker, Dave. Hello, Dave.
Hello.
And
Hello.
Suze, I forgot to ask you, how you doing?
I'm excellent.
Fine.
You already know how I'm doing. You already know.
I know. I know how you're doing.
Dave is fine. He's just fine.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't think I've ever taken that middle route. I'm just fine.
I'm just fine. Meh.
I'm doing all right. Just
all right?
Just all right. Actually, it was a beautiful day out, but
I was just going to say, it was a really gorgeous day today.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do they call it? An Indian summer? Is that what it's called?
Surprise, 25.
I don't think we're allowed to say that.
Oh, that's right. Well, everything we say is
That's been
racist
canceled.
now.
Bigot.
Well, that's me. Sorry.
Tonight, I'm actually really excited because I've been wanting to have this guest on for a while now. We have Lee. He is Irreverent Farmer or Cattleman on Twitter, and he is a cattle farmer, as you can tell by his name. Welcome, Lee.
Hi, Lee.
Thank you. Oh.
Welcome.
So, Lee, just in case our audience doesn't know who you are yet on Twitter, can you please just give us a little breakdown of who you are, what you've been up to, and also where people can find you on Twitter or anywhere else?
So I'm not anywhere else. I'm an electrician who 10 years ago decided to buy a small farm. We found out we were having a son and just dove headfirst into it.
Nice.
Wow.
Since then, I've opened some programming companies, usually in industrial automation, while trying to build the ranch here at home.
Wow. And are you comfortable saying what province you're in, or?
Yep, I'm in Ontario,
Okay.
in Severn, Ontario.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I knew that, but it's good for the audience to know that there's actually someone who has a farm in Ontario, a cattle farm, because I don't know. By the way things are going, I don't know how many farmers are left out there, who are going to be able to continue on. So that's definitely something that I wanted to talk about tonight. How's it going as a farmer?
Whew.
That's a
Slow,
loaded
steady progress. In order to afford to farm, I definitely need to work 60 to 80 hours a week running my business.
Wow.
So that's kind of the state. Unless you inherited your farm and you're a third or a fourth generation farmer, it is a bit of a tougher go.
Right.
Wow.
Which is interesting because you're kind of, I'll say, you're leading the life that a lot of people who are awakening right now would want to lead. They'd like to have a farm or a hobby farm, some land, and raise some animals so that they were more self-sufficient. And so I thought it was really great to have you on and just, pick your brain on what it's like. And so do you work away from the farm? Like,
yes, I do.
For your
I
day
travel
job?
all over the province, all over North America, either building machines or solving problems for, the likes of Tesla or Honda or Toyota. So I'm away quite a bit.
Wow. That's complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How do you find time to farm?
Long days.
Are you
Wow.
like up at like 3 a.m. and asleep at midnight?
Usually up at 4 a.m. Every day, sleep whenever it's done.
Wow.
So in the wintertime, I get, quite a bit more time off, but in the summer, not so much.
Sorry, we're obviously going to get into it, but I just find it crazy that, like, by day you're programmer / working for Tesla and the companies you mentioned, and then I guess your side hustle or whatever, for lack of better terms, you would say, is the farming thing. But the main stuff going on doesn't even fund the farming thing you were pretty much saying, or like does, but like look how much you have to put into it.
Correct. Yeah. So I've been doing cattle now for 3 years. If I'm lucky, this is the first year I'm going to break even on it.
Wow.
Before that, I was doing garlic and starting to do pretty well at it. I was selling to the restaurant industry, to all the higher end restaurants. I previously worked with Mark McEwen and some of those celebrity chefs.
Oh, okay.
But when COVID happened, that all got destroyed.
Oh, of
Oh,
course.
perfect.
Yeah,
Freaking
makes
COVID.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So what is a typical day sort of like?
If I can work remotely, get up at 4, check cows, online for 6 a.m., work until about 3 p.m., and then get back to driving in fence posts, maintaining equipment. I can't afford new fancy tractors, so everything of mine is old and busted. So I'm constantly working on it.
And you do it all by yourself. You don't have anyone helping you, or
I have a wonderful wife that when I'm gone will definitely head out and check on the cows.
Okay. Awesome.
Awesome.
Make sure everything's fueled up and greased up, but that's about that.
Right. Wow.
Of course, during hay time, she's slugging bales right alongside me. And
Now, are you a cattle like dairy farmer, or are you like a cattle beef farmer?
beef farmer.
Okay. And I'm curious. So how does that look like? Like you get a calf, and then how many years goes by until you make money off that calf?
So it takes about 3 years for them to reach maturity. Now, I don't run the big registered Angus because then I'd have to register with the government and I'd have to tag my cows
And screw that shit. Yeah.
exactly. So we decided to go with some smaller heritage breeds and just run more of them.
Okay.
And they do take longer to finish, but the quality of the meat that you get out of it is actually healthy for human consumption.
Oh, that's good.
And your cows are all grass fed, correct?
Grass fed and grass finished.
Very nice. Very nice. I still want to try some of your beef sometime. That sounds really dirty.
I would like to try some beef too.
No problem.
Dave, you don't want to try some beef, Dave?
I can't hear you.
And one of the main reasons behind that I wanted to kind of touch on here is that when you have a grass-fed and grass-finished beef, the omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acid ratio is healthy and spot on and actually anti-inflammatory. Where if you go to the grocery store and you were to buy a grain-finished beef, it's much worse for you.
Okay, what do you mean by finished? Like, what do you mean by grass finished?
So a lot of people put their cows out to pasture during the summer and then finish them on grain during the fall and winter.
Gotcha.
Oh.
Okay.
And corn especially. So my beef has about a 3-to-1 ratio of omega-6 to 3. Whereas
Wow.
if you were to get something off a feedlot at a grocery store, it's about 20-to-1,
Oh, wow.
which is highly inflammatory.
Yeah, a lot of people, when I first started hearing about omegas, they were talking about just omegas in general. Oh, you got to get more omegas. And then it came out that, omega-3s actually aren't that great for you compared to omega-6. And so that's interesting. I didn't know that actually about the difference between, I knew grass-fed was good for you, but I didn't actually know why.
It's because of the ratio.
So, being in a cold climate country, how do you manage to grass feed your cows in the wintertime?
Good question.
With a lot of hay.
Oh, okay.
So this year, I'm probably going to run through about 450 5-foot round bales.
Wow.
Wow. That's a lot of space that you need for that.
That's
It is,
crazy.
yes.
Wow.
Like not only to grow it, but then also to store it.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
Wow.
and then all your losses from rain, from everything else. And if you don't hit that weather perfect, the hay's no good. So you lose about 10% of the protein value per day that it gets rained on.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So you must be loving these chemtrails.
Fuck.
We don't need cloud seeding.
No.
Right?
No, thank you.
Wow.
We were outside today and it was just a beautiful blue sky. And then all of a sudden, I just saw a plane go by and there's that huge geoengineering scar across the sky. And it just makes me so mad. I don't know what to do about it. I'm so upset about it. I actually said to my hubby the other day, I actually wonder how nice would Canada be? You know, our winters are so long and it's getting to the point as we age that we just can't go without the sunshine for that long in a winter. It's really hard on us. And we're not even that old yet. You know, we're in our 40s, but like I just wonder if they weren't cloud seeding,
Yeah.
would it be a lot nicer in Canada? Like I have no idea. I don't even know how long they've been doing it for.
That's an excellent
I mean,
question.
the technology's been around since, I believe we started on it in the 1960s.
Right. So I wouldn't even know the actual legit weather that would have happened before that.
Correct.
You would not. No.
Yeah.
Well, so Lee, where do you sell your beef?
This is where I'm going to get into
sounds
trouble.
dirty again. Well, if it's gonna get you in trouble, then don't answer the question.
Yeah.
I
I'd say don't answer that if you don't want to.
it's an eventuality
Okay.
that I do at some point plan on bringing to court,
Okay.
but I refuse to ship my beef. So in Ontario, you have to bring it to a licensed facility to be able to process it.
Oh.
And if you want it inspected federally, that's an even more expensive facility. So the problem is if I sell to these facilities, I'm getting $3 a pound. It's not worth it. If I sell it, right. And
So
then
how
there's no guarantee you're going to get your own beef back. The corruption in the meat industry is just horrible.
Yeah.
So I've chosen to just deal with the people I trust and like.
Whoa, I didn't even think about that. That you probably wouldn't even get your own meat back.
You don't.
Wow.
That's wild.
So I have a farmer like very close to me that I drive by all the time, and they have these signs out that they sell chicken and they sell beef and they sell whatever. And my mother and I actually tried to stop by there the other day, and they were closed. But it looks like they actually have a little store like on their property or something. And I was like, oh, I want to go there and like check the beef there and buy beef from there. But now you're saying that even their beef might not even be the beef that they produced in the first place.
Correct. There's very few abattoirs that will actually tag your beef as yours and hold it. So they make their money by taking the beef that's the best marbled or the most tender or the most desirable and selling it out of their counter, and then taking all, the old dairy cows and giving it back to the farmers who brought their beef in to be processed.
Oh, that makes me so mad.
Wow.
That is insane. Have you thought about becoming an what do you call it? An abattoir?
I did attempt it. I reached out to the OMA-FRA. They gave me all the paperwork, but the killing methods that we use here in Ontario are not humane. So I won't be complicit in that.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
So not to get grisly here, but it's reality.
Wait. I have a question. What is the killing methods that they use here in Ontario?
So we use a captive bolt gun, which is an air-powered bolt that goes into the skull for a stunning method, and then we bleed the cow.
And that so this is like they have to kill the cows this way.
Yes.
Wow.
I'm asking this because years ago I had a friend who him and his dad every year would go and buy a cow, right? So what they would do, apparently, they would go to this farm, and his dad would actually kill the cow himself and then take it to a butcher, and the butcher would do his thing, whatever, whatever. So I always thought he was just killing the cow with like a regular gun.
No, a regular gun is, if it's the right caliber, is completely humane. And that's because a captive bolt gun travels about 165 miles per hour. The nerve signals travel about 365 miles per hour. So
Wow.
they can feel it.
Yeah.
With a rifle, you're traveling at 700 to 800 miles per hour. So the bullet does its job faster than the nerves can react, rendering the animal completely senseless, and it's completely pain-free.
So why? Oh my God! Why? Why
Yeah.
would they choose the inhumane way? Like, why? I can't wrap my head around this. Is it cheaper? Is that why?
It's worker safety for the most part.
Oh,
So
come
you've got
on.
an inexperienced guy that you've got, here's your job. This is what you do. Put it here and pull the trigger.
Oh my God!
You can't just give these guys guns.
Wow.
I had no idea. I've heard of the bolt guns. I didn't know the ramifications of that though, and like what that actually meant and how inhumane it is.
And even with the captive bolt gun, about 11 to 13% of those fail to do their job.
Oh.
Oh my God.
So I refuse to be complicit in that whole industry.
Wow.
Oh, geez. Can you get into some of the other sorts of regulations that the government puts, some of the standards that they put on farmers that you've noticed? It doesn't even have to be with cows, but just in general, it seems to me like, well, I always thought it would be nice to have a hobby farm, and that way you'd always be, let's say, safe if you had a famine or what have you. And now I'm seeing, as they talk about the bird flu and how you might have to cull your flock for that or cull your herd. And so I see now how they're going to try and stop people from even being self-sufficient in that way. So can you talk a little bit about some of the things you've seen within the industry that, like more of the stuff you just mentioned with the way they slaughter cows?
So one of the biggest problems in this industry is actually the trucking industry. If they back their truck onto my property and their tires have been to another farm, my farm is now contaminated.
What?
So, yes.
Wow.
So if I have another beef guy or a dairy guy and, come over to the farm, we make sure that we never wear the same boots on each other's farms.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. That's crazy.
So some stuff like blackleg can last in the soil for 20, 30 years.
Holy shit.
Yes. So all these big trucks and everything else, they're the ones spreading it, okay? It's not native populations of birds. It's not this. It's not that. It's the trucking industry that's doing it. It's the industrialization of farming that's spreading these diseases to the farms.
Holy crap.
So how do we solve that problem? Because the trucks still need to go to from farm to farm, right?
Well, I think if we were to deregulate and have local, farmers do have to get a bit smarter. They do have to get up on, the data. They do have to have areas where the trucks can be isolated. We need, you do need wash stations for that kind of stuff.
Right.
When you enter any dairy farm, you have to soak your boots in, I don't know what the name of the chemical is, but it pretty much can kill any virus that's on your boots.
Wow.
So there could be some regulations that would help the industry. Like, I'm so against government regulations now that I don't think about the ramifications if, say a truck is contaminated and it backs onto your property, then you've got a real problem. So there are, I guess, ways that regulations could help, but I don't know. Like, how do you solve that?
Not to sound like an ass, but some truck driver making, $18 an hour doesn't care how he washes his truck in between loads.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what regulations you put into place. There's no solving that problem.
That's true.
Right.
Unless the farmer solves it himself.
Yeah.
Mm.
Wow.
I mean, we know what's happened in the trucking industry in Canada.
Yep.
We know everybody's ignoring rules, regulations. I don't think there's a solution to that we can regulate our way out of.
Got it. So it's not about regulations, but it is about allowing the farmers to create, let's say, their own set of rules that need to be followed, as people enter their farm or what have you, to keep their farm healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Correct, as well as for allowing for smaller abattoirs, for relaxing the rules on that. So you can have, let's say, 3 smaller abattoirs in Simcoe County, as opposed to having to ship all of our beef to Alberta.
Is that what happens?
Wow. That's why you said you didn't want to ship the beef.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There are a couple good abattoirs. There's Simcoe County Meat Packers, and the gentleman who runs that does a really good job. But he's few and far between.
Mm.
Yeah.
So we have one option in Simcoe County.
Wow.
Right.
Even then, between here or Stayner or somewhere like that, the soil changes drastically. The soil-borne diseases change drastically. The economy has to become more local.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Well, that's something we're seeing kind of across the board. I think a lot of us who are awakening are understanding that the importance of going more local, keeping keeping everything smaller. Everything that's federally regulated has gone to shit. And there's just no way that you can manage things properly if it gets too big.
Exactly. I agree.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
So-
our biggest challenge going in the future is going to be this bill. I think it's C-293. If someone could fact check me on that.
Dave?
The the new pandemic bill that's coming out.
Oh, yeah.
That one.
So the problem then is they can choose any type of animal, come onto your farm, kill them all, and then remove you from your land.
That's going to be a part of it. Wow. They are really trying to stop us from being self-sufficient.
They
Yes.
really are.
That's terrifying.
And what bothers me on that bill is there's a specific clause that says if you're close to a wilderness area, and I back on to about 120,000 acres of crown land, that they can just take your farm to protect the wildlife.
Are you serious?
Yeah, this
Yes.
bill is crazy, Ash. It's insane. I watched a guy kind of dissect it, and it's absolutely nuts.
It could
So
be
I guess
293 or
this-
296. I'm not 100% sure.
This would be the downstream effects of the WHO pandemic treaty getting shut down. Now they're bringing it to the governments to institute the regulations that they weren't able to institute through the WHO pandemic treaty. They'll keep trying to find a way.
Right, and now it'll be federally regulated in Canada, where any expert can deem my farm a threat and take everything away.
Wow.
It is Bill C-293.
Okay.
C-293. I guess we're going to have to do a bit more of a deep dive on that because
It's the Pandemic Prevention Plan.
I mean, I've heard a little bit about it, but that specifically is terrifying.
It pretty much eliminates private property rights for animal producers.
Yeah.
I think there's even parts in there where they can take something about taking your anybody's property if they need to use it for like a quarantine site, for example.
Right.
I'm not aware of that clause. I guess I just a little bit selfish was looking at all the farm repercussions.
Yeah, there's it's crazy. It's like they're basically fucking like everybody hard with that bill.
Yeah.
They are bending us all over one by one, like they're touching every single area.
Oh,
Wonderful.
not another one. This sounds like the worst, though.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, too. I mean, they're already, the globalists are already trying to shut down the meat industry. So there's no way that they're going to let farms be if they can help it at all. They're doing their darndest to show, and I'm doing that in air quotes, to show that meat is unhealthy. And the way that we actually touched on this in an earlier episode, but the way that they skew the numbers of the in the data to make it look like meat is unhealthy, they basically set meat to like a zero, as in any amount of meat that you have is like basically death, as I said in that podcast. And so then they plug that number, that value into into their data points, and then they try to prove that meat is unhealthy by the fact that they've made meat death in their value system. It's unbelievable.
Yep.
Absolutely correct. And the problem with those studies is that they included ultra-processed meats with a lot of nitrates in it. And that
Right.
skewed everything. And just jump quickly back to C293. Here's just one of the part 5 of it. Phase out commercial activities that disproportionately contribute to pandemic risk, including activities that involve high-risk species. That's why they're pushing so hard for the bird flu to affect cattle.
Right.
So they can now force you to phase out cattle on your farm.
Wow.
That is terrifying.
And then here's another one. Promote commercial activities that can help reduce pandemic risk, including the production of alternative proteins. Crickets.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Crickets. Bill Gates' biomilk.
Oh
Yep.
God.
Fake his synthetic milk. All I can do is just picture his big old titties and think, ugh, I don't want your biomilk.
No.
Oh my God. Next, Dave is going to pull up a Bill Gates photo with giant titties.
I closed the window.
We don't want to see that.
I didn't want that search term anywhere on my computer.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's terrifying. Another thing that I've noticed recently is that they've put out another sort of value system for the healthy foods that they recommend people eat. And they have added foods like Frosted Flakes and other sugary cereals, and they've put them as healthy foods because they say that it's what would be the term? Basically, it's bigoted if they're not included, because not everyone can afford healthier food. And so they've added it as part of this system because not everyone, it's like the DEI being shoved into, the food pyramid. It's unbelievable.
It just reminded me of that 18-year-old kid that I had a conversation with about the cloned meat, where he was all like, make sure you don't want the writing all over it saying that it's cloned meat, because then you're going to discourage the people that can't afford the real meat and they just need the cloned meat. So don't discourage them and let them buy the cloned meat and think that it's healthy. I'm like, but it's not healthy.
Yeah. And so that's another regulation that's coming down the pipeline where the government of Canada doesn't have to stipulate if meat is cloned meat or not.
Correct.
Yep.
And in my opinion, even worse than that is nanotechnology is used in food. It doesn't have to be listed now. And that's concerning because so a little bit more background about me. Before I was an electrician, when I was 14 years old, I started down my Red Seal path as a butcher. I spent a decade in the meat industry. And the amount of things we put in to sausages and things like that, it was awful. Another reason I got out. So now I could put in silicone dioxide binding nanoparticles, which is, it's made to make the meat's texture more palatable.
Right.
You don't have to list that.
Emulsifiers.
Yes, emulsifiers, binders. And because it's so small, they no longer have to list it.
Wow.
Holy shit.
It's crazy. We have no idea what we're eating unless we're buying from a local farm.
But even if you are buying from a local farm, apparently you don't know what you're eating either.
Right.
Exactly.
If it's beef, you don't know. May not have been their beef.
That is
And the
nuts.
poor farmers who spend their time raising their cows, doing it right, they're the ones who ultimately get screwed, and the consumer.
Sure. Absolutely. Holy.
And then if you go to the grocery store, 50% of what you eat is water in that beef. They use a process called wet aging. So they more or less dump a bunch of water in a bag and vacuum package it and let it sit there for 30 days. So it can absorb
plump it
the
up.
most weight possible. So 50% is now just water of what you're paying for.
And the prices are also insane. So I'm paying insane prices for water. That's great.
Yes.
Great.
The basket price in Ontario right now is about $16 per pound. And that includes anywhere from ground beef to a ribeye. But if you buy from $10 a pound for your local farmer, you're getting 50% more meat.
Huh.
Interesting.
Not
Yeah.
beef, but with not beef, but with chicken. Like personal experience, when ownership, I work in the culinary industry, asked me to start looking at our profit and loss. Let's see where we can save some money. So I tried out a new chicken product from a different supplier. I was like, holy crap, look at this price! And when you're slicing into it, I had literally water squirting in my face.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
And every industry is trying to squeeze every last penny out.
Yes. And even, the Liberals now, and the NDP, they're bragging about, what they're going to do to come down hard on the supermarkets and, do like some price regulating. And it's like, do you really think that that's going to help the consumer? All that the supermarkets are going to do is put more crap in their foods, not the supermarkets, but the manufacturers. Like you're going to get crappier products for less money, like for more money. You know what I mean? Like you're going to get less good quality foods for, it'll be, cheaper, but they're not going to pass on quality products to the consumer.
No, of course not. Hell no. Hell no. So what do we do, guys? What do we do? How do we fix this problem? Like what I want and think we should do, I can't say on here because then like the stormtroopers are going to come knocking down my door. And
Exactly.
so I'll keep that, to myself.
Well, I mean, that is why we're having these conversations. Like, there's so much, Lee, that you've just told me that I didn't even know about. And that's really concerning to me because I was already horrified by the farming industry, the mass farming industry, right? Big Pharma, get it?
Yeah. And the worst part is the big farming industry is destroying land at a rate where we're never going to get it back.
You mean with like arson and stuff?
No, I mean, the second you take a set of discs or a plow or anything to the ground, you're destroying the mycelium. The mycelium is a layer of fungi that allows communication between all the plants around it.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And what that does is that signals for disease, all sorts of signals out there. So everything can communicate and self-regulate. When you grow soybeans and wheat and monoculture and you're tilling, you're destroying that and you never get that back. And then you're forced to dump chemical fertilizer on that land year after year after year at huge costs.
Wow.
And it's gotten so bad in the grain industry, and I'm not shitting on grain guys out there, where if they see a nice 2-week window coming up and they want to harvest early and they don't want that moisture in their product, they round up the entire field to
I've
get
heard
it to
about
dry
that.
and die faster.
Yeah, I've heard
Oh,
about that.
wow. I know I
So they-
mentioned this one before, but we know a wheat farmer. We still haven't had him on.
Yeah, that's right.
We should drill him.
We should.
He's in Alberta, but still.
Oh, D?
Yes. Shh. No, I'm kidding.
He's awesome.
No, he is awesome.
I'm talking some of the large corporate farms around here. The family farmers, who are running
Yeah.
100 to 1,000 acres. Yeah, they don't do that.
Yeah. And what's the active ingredient in Roundup again? I'm drawing a blank right now. It's
Glyphosate.
Yeah. And they're finding that in children's blood now. I mean, it's just everywhere. It's in our DNA.
Oh my
Absolutely.
I don't
And a
know.
scarier statistic is that 80% of rainwater now has glyphosate in it.
God. What?
And if it would be great if Dave could fact check that.
Dave is in the washroom right now. He just
Okay.
put a little thing here on the side. He'll be right back.
So I've read a few studies where 80% of rainwater now contains glyphosate. And this is something that was supposed to have a 48-hour half-life.
Wow. Holy shit.
Yeah.
And cattle farmers are the problem, but just like the forest fires everywhere else, ruminant animals prevent forest fires. So when they walk through these forests, they tramp down all that deadfall
Oh.
and turn it into soil. So when we had the buffalo roaming, we didn't have these problems. That's why we have the sequoias and all those great redwood forests and everything else. Is ruminant animals prevent these devastating fires.
Oh my God.
I'm learning so much. I had no idea.
Yes.
And the whole thing of methane and cow farts, when cows fart, okay, yeah, it's methane.
Dave is back. Perfect timing. Cows fart. Go on.
So
Excellent.
when they're building new soil, when they're spreading their manure everywhere, they actually create bacteria that eat methane. It's all a lie.
Wow. Well, I imagined it was all a lie, but thank you for the science behind it.
Yeah. Huh.
Dave. Oh. Lee has something for you to look up. What was that again about the rainwater?
How much rainwater contains glyphosate now in North America?
Got you.
That's crazy. Holy, my mind is blown. I didn't realize my mind was going to be blown today on
Yeah.
this episode.
I do think that one of the big problems that we are experiencing is not having healthy soils. And I didn't even know the half of what you just said, Lee. But I do feel like we're killing our soils by, the monocropping and the pesticides and the, fertilizers and what have you. And then we're cutting up the sun.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so what does that say, Dave? It's too small. I can't read
In
it.
over 75% of air and rain samples tested from Mississippi in 2007, Texas specifically,
I saw something about 15%.
75% in 2007.
That was a long time ago.
75% it contained?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And what I'm seeing says 60 to 100% in both air and rain.
Holy shit.
Great.
Depending on where you test, of course.
Right.
And is this related to Roundup?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Roundup comes from where? From your CIA Vietnam debut? Does it not?
Here we go. Buckle up, everybody.
Glyphosate was the brainchild of Monsanto.
Right.
Yeah. And then that is something that they realize that it would dry out the crops. And so that's why they'll use that before heavy rains to keep the crops dried so they can, harvest it before they get the heavy rains, and so then there's just like an extra dosage of all the crap that we don't need in our bodies. Poison.
I was thinking of Agent Orange. Sorry.
What the
Oh,
hell is
yes.
that? I don't even know. I don't know.
Agent Orange was a defoliant we sprayed all over Vietnam, so we could see the VC and effectively take him out. But it causes birth defects, all sorts of horrible things.
Of course it does.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. Wow.
And I mean, now that Bayer owns Monsanto, I guess the guys who invented Zyklon B for the Nazis should be trusted with our crops.
Right.
Sorry, did you say Bayer? Like
Yeah.
Yes.
like the medication people?
Yes, who got their start working for the Nazis, pretty much, producing Zyklon B, the gas for the gas chambers.
Really?
Wow.
That's Bayer?
Yes.
Bayer.
Oh.
And does BlackRock have shares in Bayer?
No idea.
Probably.
Speaking of BlackRock, Lee, did you want to talk a little bit about how large companies like BlackRock and the banks are screwing over small farms?
Yeah, so a lot
If it
of
wasn't
these...
depressing enough.
Yeah.
So most large banks now are dropping farmers. I was with TD. I had a farm line of credit, and they completely dropped that product from their list. BMO has very much so done the same. The only one who hasn't is RBC at this point, but in the U.S. especially, all the big banks, Chase Bank and all that, they're pulling out of ag, and they won't fund it, especially for small farmers. The big grain guys, yeah, they got no problem getting loaned because it's all government backed. So if they default, if they go bankrupt, it doesn't matter. But for a small farmer, we're no longer backed, so nobody will take us on anymore.
Wow.
If I may interrupt quickly, BlackRock is the largest shareholder in Bayer, followed by the Vanguard Group.
Oh, what a shocker.
There we
my
go.
God. Who is shocked? Me. I'm totally shocked.
Sorry, and then Bayer Bayer was a subsidiary of IG Farben. IG Farben was your Nazi connection to what's going on there, as far as they were pretty much building everything from pharmaceuticals to stuff needed for planes to work. And then IG Farben was working with an American bank to funnel their money or hide their money called Union Banking Corp. And then that bank was fronted by Prescott Bush.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And Prescott Bush is Skull and Bones, right?
Prescott Bush is your grandfather of one of the presidents and dad of the other one. And Skull and Bones, yes.
Perfect.
I mean, even Klaus, his father, made his money by selling flamethrowers to the Nazis.
Wow.
Really?
Yes.
This is some crazy shit.
Yeah, so the banks are not helping farmers anymore, which is one of those things that anyone who's not seeing what's going on right now, if they were just to open their eyes to what's happening to farmers, I mean, look at what's happened to farmers in places like Holland and France as well, where, they're mandating, what is it? What was it was about carbon, right? They're trying to make it more carbon neutral.
Yes, and telling everyone they must close down their beef herds and they must go back to, wild land or whatever they wanted to call it.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, the expert on this is a lawyer on X called Dustin Kittle. So he's had his loans called in by Farm Credit. Farm Credit doesn't have a board of directors. The board of directors is supposed to be directly appointed by Joe Biden. And they're just stealing farmers' land, calling loans when they know they can't pay them back, and turning them into mines or pipelines or whatever they please.
Or Bill Gates is buying them.
Yes. So this is, a North America-wide problem.
Yeah. Wow. I'll have to go check that guy out. What's his handle?
Dustin Kittle. I can't remember his handle.
Kittle. Okay. Yeah, I'll search for that. because this stuff is very interesting to me, and terrifying. But
Yes.
without our farmers, we really do have no food. We won't have healthy food anyways. Anyone can see what they've been pushing a vegetarian diet, a more meat free diet for a long time, high carb, low protein, low fat, and we're not healthy in North America. We're not healthy, and you see a trend of people who are starting to go carnivore now or eat keto or just moderate the amounts of carbs that they're eating. And it's crazy. Like, people are getting healthier just by eating exactly what the industry is telling you not to eat.
Yeah, I'm going to use my sister-in-law as just a really small example, but you like Dave and Ash, they know that my sister-in-law was diagnosed with Lyme disease a couple years ago. It took her a few years to get her diagnosis, but she was like the super health nut where she would eat like all the like whatever she was told was like the healthiest way to eat, right? So for example, she almost never ate red meat. She would only eat chicken. Like that was like chicken, turkey, like poultry. Like that was and like the white breast meat, whatever. Like that was her go-to. That was the only meat she would eat. Now she's because it took her so long to get a diagnosis, she's like chronic now. So there's no curing her Lyme disease. So she has to, learn to live with it, right? So she had to like alter her diet so like that she doesn't have flare-ups, etc., and all that stuff. And now one of the main things that I see her eat on a regular basis is beef. Something I never saw her eat before, almost ever. And like she's doing better. Like she doesn't have as many flare-ups anymore as she used to, etc.
I mean, if you look at people like Jordan Peterson, that's what happened to him too. He had autoimmune issues, and so did his daughter, and they went to carnivore, and everything's cleared up. They're healthier than they've ever been in their lives. So there's really something there.
It's just a coincidence, YouTube. Just a coincidence.
My mother has Lyme disease from a trip we took down in North Carolina, and she's getting better on carnivore now as well.
Really?
Sorry, you said she has Lyme disease as well?
Yes.
Oh, wow. So she's like gone strictly carnivore.
She's getting better. I'll put it that way.
Well, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. Yeah, like my sister-in-law too. Like I've noticed a different. Like 2 years ago, she wouldn't even be able to attend an event, right? And now I've seen her at multiple events the past like year. So it definitely is making a difference.
That's great to hear. Yeah. So Lee, is there anything else that you want to cover as far as the farming industry goes that you think we need to know about? I think we've covered quite a bit of ground.
We've covered quite a bit.
Yeah.
Question. What's I just found some article about Canadian government forcing dairy farmers to dump milk because regulatory quotas only allow so much to be produced.
Absolutely.
What the hell is that?
So that's because they want to keep the price high. Okay, it's a supply and demand thing.
Oh my God.
Sense to me. No.
Yes, it happens. All of my small farmer friends in my area, they've all retired out of it because of that.
Oh my God.
Really?
And because of all the regulations and, supposedly cleanliness issues, this, that, the other thing, they've made it inaccessible for everybody besides the big farms and all us small guys sold quota.
So in the long run, this just all leads to government-owned farms everywhere, like the end result goal.
Or even not technically owned, but if they can manage your supply, they can manage how many animals you have.
Which essentially makes you an employee of them, kind of.
Sure.
Exactly, yes. Yeah. So if you're only allowed, let's say, 30,000 liters per month, you're not going to have enough cows to produce 100,000 liters.
Right.
Right.
And it keeps prices high. It keeps, demand for the product there. It prevents market gluts, which are a good thing. And, this is capitalism, okay? We're supposed to be able to produce whatever we want and sell at whatever price the market dictates. It's the exact same thing as the grain board, which now the government of Canada sold over 50% to Saudi Arabia. So the Saudis have...
What?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
So the government sold, I believe, and I should be fact-checked on this, 51 or 55% of the Canada Grain Board to Saudi Arabia.
When was
What?
this?
Why?
This would have been, I believe, under Harper, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, something that didn't happen under Trudeau. That's shocking.
I know.
Wow. Oh my God.
So it's been happening for a while then.
Under
Interesting.
both liberal, conservative governments, it hasn't mattered.
Because they're all the same.
Yeah.
Well, and it's not only that. It's even with the best of intentions, government is inept on its best day.
Yeah. So bloated.
So it says
50.1% was sold. Yeah.
Wow.
for $250 million.
Yeah.
That's it? That's not that much.
This was
I mean,
this was when?
What would that have been?
Wait. I see 2015 there.
Okay.
Am I reading that right, Dave?
Yep.
That this happened in 2015?
So would that be before or after Trudeau got in?
I'm just saying, everything happens in 2015. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That's it.
Yeah.
This is why I need to be fact-checked. I remember, but, I could be off a bit.
Yeah. When you, with us talking about milk, it also makes me think about raw milk and how, that got out-regulated to the point where people aren't, it's illegal to sell raw milk to people. But if you poke around, it sure sounds like raw milk is very healthy for people. They wouldn't have lactose intolerance and all those types of things if they actually were drinking raw milk. But because the government wants everything to be safe and effective, in air quotes, you're not allowed to drink that. You're not allowed to sell it.
Right, and there's a story behind raw milk. Raw milk was really outlawed because of the spread of tuberculosis when a bunch of idiots got the bright idea to store cows in the basements under breweries.
Oh my God.
To never let them see the light, never have fresh air, never have a clean environment, and feed them nothing but spent brewer's grain.
What?
We're talking about an issue that hasn't existed since the 1920s.
Wow.
What did you call them? City what?
Idiots.
Idiots.
Have you
So
never
they
heard
wanted to
that
make
term?
I haven't. I'm fucking dying. Oh my God. Anyways, carry on.
So they wanted to make more money. What are we going to do? We're going to stick some cows in the basement. We're going to feed them nothing but this crap, and we're not going to keep it clean with no pasture, no grass, no nothing. And they wondered why the cows got sick and spread that sickness.
Are you kidding me? That's where
That's
that stems from?
That's the whole story behind raw milk. Yes.
Wow. That's crazy. I had no idea. And that's horrible.
Yeah.
Wow.
Jeez. There's so much that I don't know about our whole food industry. That's terrible. So if people had access to raw milk, who knows how much healthier they could be. And yeah, I mean, I don't know, like maybe you've got to be careful and whatever. I don't know. That's why you need to keep things local. So
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's impossible to get sick from raw milk from a local farm. In the piping, in most of these facilities, not all, there are sensors that can detect bacteria and dump an entire batch before it ever makes it to the human population.
Really?
So yeah.
Wow.
That makes
raw
me
milk
angry.
is not a risk.
I'm gonna need to find me some farmers who can sell me some raw milk. I didn't say that. Just kidding, YouTube.
Just kidding.
Shout out to Chef Michael Statlander and Michael Schmidt that were protesting for the right to use raw milk when I was up and coming through the culinary industry.
Oh yeah.
I love Chef Michael Smith. I've been to Antler a couple times.
No, that's Chef Hunter. But that was.
shoot.
But he was also my sous chef at Sassafras. No big deal.
What?
That's right.
so cool.
What? Sorry.
Sorry.
We might know each other.
It's possible.
Oh shit.
Oh, nice.
It's possible.
So Chef Michael Smith, not the one who was on TV from like the East Coast, is it?
Yeah. He partnered with this guy Michael Statlander. Statlander had a few restaurants up. I don't know what he's doing now anymore, but probably just some independent stuff or whatever. I actually lost track. I stopped following the story or his career or whatever. But
I used to watch his cooking shows all the time. He's a good dude.
So we need to figure out how we're supposed to fix all these problems. Another episode, probably, but
Maybe another one, but someone's going to at some point have to fight it. That's kind of why I don't mind saying, that yes, I'm selling beef illegally. Someone's got to do it. Someone's got to take it through the courts.
Right.
So are you already in that process or no?
No, I'm not yet.
Right.
We'll see when they show up at my door.
Do you ever talk to Randy Hillier?
I haven't, no.
Oh, because he was part of the landowners association in his area, and it's farm country around him, and he's really given the gears to the institutions over the years for them trying to get uppity and take over too much. So he might have some interesting thoughts for you on that.
I'm definitely going to look him up.
He was an MPP in oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank at what area. And he's a part of No More Lockdowns. That's his other sort of handle on Twitter. We actually had him on the show earlier on, and he's an awesome salty the earth kind of dude. So I'll send you his info in our Twitter DM so you can look him up. He's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Lee.
Set that up, Ash. Set it up.
Yeah. Oh, right. We're trying to figure out how we can fix everything.
I don't think we're figuring that out tonight.
I think we just have to keep pushing for smaller government. I don't know how we do it, but we have to keep pushing for our own property rights. And I think it does start at the local level, and eventually it does feed upwards to the federal level. It's not going to be easy, and we just have to keep being persistent. I have to admit, I don't even like hearing about that pandemic bill because I'm so sick of the horrible bills that they're trying to push through. I don't even want to know about another one, but we just have to keep going. We just have to keep finding our gumption and our perseverance and keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed. And it starts with the process of nullification at the local level. So when we refuse to give dollars to, let's say, the OPP in a township to enforce these new bills, then we've nullified it. We don't have to worry about it. We take care of it on the local level, like you said.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong. That's the only way out of this.
And, you have to build communities. You have to build strong farm communities on the food level. Okay, where we don't need federal dollars to maintain roads, to maintain, anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Lee, you had mentioned that you've been working on something interesting to do with the CIA and connections to, I believe it's X?
Yeah, so it was, if you really go down the rabbit hole on it, all the advertising partners on X and what they did to Elon, and we have to mention BlackRock again.
Shocker.
We need a buzzer.
So what they essentially did was they pulled all the advertising dollars to try and shut these people down, just like they did with Zuckerberg when he lost that $3.6 billion in a single day. When he tried to go free speech, he just gave in. So the way they're going about this now is with Brazil, with Europe, with everything else, is they're passing these laws that limit free speech in those countries, and then the algorithm, the program, the code behind it all now has to change to suit that, or they lose even more dollars.
Wow.
Especially through the Atlantic Council, which is more or less the, think tank arm of NATO.
That kind of goes back to what was that stat that David Icke threw at us before Elon? Twitter said yes to government demands 50% of the time. With Elon, it's happened 80% of the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, all they do is keep pushing more legislation in Europe, more legislation in South America, and that forces them to comply.
Holy shit.
And it's all funded by our tax dollars.
Right.
Of course it is.
Just an example of what that looks like. Last time I went to Europe, 2023, on like public Wi-Fi's, I couldn't even bring up InfoWars.
What?
Really?
Right. Like
Oh,
at
wow.
business Wi-Fi's, I couldn't even bring up InfoWars. Even right now at my restaurant that I work at, you cannot bring up InfoWars or even a cannabis website on your Wi-Fi if you're connected to the restaurant Wi-Fi.
Really?
Well, why not? Why not a cannabis website?
I don't know. Maybe they're like
want us to.
maybe they're a little behind on that as far as like updating what's acceptable and whatnot. But like a legit dispensary will say unavailable to connect to website, and then I have to get off Wi-Fi to see what I'm picking up on my way home.
Oh shit! Wow.
Yep. We're going down the toilet.
Yep.
We really are.
It's not good.
What a wild time to be alive.
Ugh.
Anyways,
Well-
thanks for depressing the shit out of me.
Yeah. I was just
Lee.
going to say, I'm sorry to our audience. We keep doing this.
Oh shit!
But everyone, this is why we need to keep fighting for our rights and start fighting local.
I'm still
Yes.
quite hopeful, at the end of the day.
Well, that's
Why is
good.
that?
Yeah, but then why?
White pill us.
Why? Please, white pill us.
So, like I said earlier, government at its best is inept. Okay? They're dumb. All it takes is a couple people just nullifying what they're doing, taking responsibility on your own shoulders, and it all goes away.
But you need more than a couple people.
So even if you had one county or
Okay.
another, and then another, and then another, and then another, it goes quick.
Right.
True.
This does make me think about Wabbit Warrior. I know you guys are friends, and he and Marty Spire, they actually got a whole group of people together to push back on a law they're trying to pass, not to allow people to hunt in their area. And a whole bunch of people showed up to their municipal council meeting and explained to them in, like they actually brought some weapons in and explained to them like what they use to, get rid of vermin in the area and what have you. And they actually got that shut down. They stopped the law from passing. And so, I mean, that's such an awesome way that locally we can make a difference if we all band together and show our representative what matters to us.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. No, it's true. It's like in certain areas and certain topics, you got people that that's the struggle is convincing them to push back alongside you.
Yeah. I think that is our biggest struggle right now is waking up the normies enough so that they understand why it's important. Because they
so they don't sorry to interrupt. So they don't get sidetracked at whatever like divide and conquer gets thrown at them in the meantime during the objective we're trying to achieve.
Which they usually happens once you see something actually happening from the people. boom, something is thrown at them, and there's a new distraction, new divide and conquer, like you said, and
Yeah.
everything gets
Like we've
thrown to
mentioned it
shit.
before. What was it like? 2023 in Canada, North America, whatever, a bunch of places. You had people of all kinds of cultures, religions, and whatnot marching against the LGBTQ thing going on in schools.
Yeah,
Mhm.
And then
marching to protect the children.
you had Muslims marching with Jewish people, white people with black people, whatever. And then October 7th happens, and that just all stopped, and it's Hamas versus Israel.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
literally completely stopped. Like that march was supposed to be, I think,
Gone.
it was supposed to be like a monthly thing or something, and it's done. It's been done.
Yeah.
No more.
And just to add this in, building strong communities eliminates all of that.
Yes.
You know, if you know your neighbor, whether he's Muslim, whether he's Indian, doesn't matter. If you know your neighbor and you're on good terms, all that's gone.
It's true.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
And that's why their whole message of inclusivity is so bullshit, because they don't care about actual inclusivity. But a lot of people in within their communities, they don't look at the color or the creed of people or their religion or their sex. They just try to work together. And all of these woke institutions that try and shove DEI down our throats don't actually care about any of it,
Exactly.
as we know.
Yeah. Like, just to put it in perspective, on my line here, we've got a trans farmer. The next line over, we've got Jamaican farmers who just moved up here. No one cares as long as you participate in the community.
Right.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right, Lee. Well, I think that seems like a pretty good place to end it. There's a lot of stuff that I kind of want to go and poke around about, including
Hold on, Ash. You jumped out for like, I don't know, 5 seconds.
oh, perfect.
We
Just as
lost
I'm trying
you.
to wrap it up.
Yeah, so start over, but because we
All right.
briefly lost
Sorry
you.
about that, everyone.
And I can't see your avatar anymore for some reason.
Yeah, her avatar's gone too.
Oh, really?
They're
But you
on
can
to
hear
you.
me now?
They're
We
on
can
to you,
hear it.
Ash.
Just
Yeah.
continue. They're on to you, Matt.
I'm getting canceled.
Oh shit.
Well, Lee, I think that's pretty much a good place to end it. And I just wanted to thank you so much for coming on and giving so much information that I didn't even know you're going to share with us. And I have some more rabbit holes to go down. I had no idea about the raw milk thing. That is unbelievable to me. Not that I don't believe it. I do, but that is just nuts. So I've really been looking forward to having you on, and I really appreciate you taking the time to do it. Obviously, you've got such a busy life, so thanks so much for taking the time to jump on with us and share your story. And I think it's really important for people to hear from more people like you, because there's so much that we just don't know if we're not in the industry. So yeah, thanks so much again.
Thank you.
Dave, do you have any final thoughts?
Just pretty much, if there was a bunch of Lees in the world would be a better place. It seems like,
Absolutely.
you know? Right?
I agree.
And yeah, it was nice meeting you. And you know what? I might be messaging you on the side for your beef services. We'll talk later.
That sounds good.
That sounds dirty.
I mean, I had to get in there too, right?
Yeah. Zeus, you got any final thoughts?
Yeah. This world just keeps scaring me more and more as the days go on. But Lee, thank you for giving us a little glimpse of a white pill there at the end. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate what you're doing. And yeah, everybody, build those communities, like we've said time and time again. And we gotta fight back at the local level, and we gotta make change. I do have one, and thank you, Lee, for coming on. It's been great being able to virtually meet you. I do have one question. I know you and your friend Wabbit were trying to kill a bear a couple weeks ago. Did you manage to kill that bear?
We have not yet.
Shit.
Darn it.
Worst part is that Wabbit, he's one of the most ethical dudes I've ever met in my life.
And that's a bad thing.
No. But we saw deer like you wouldn't believe, but because it's
Yeah,
not season,
Yeah, he told us. He told us about the deer eating the apples for the bear. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so he actually told our audience about that when he was on a couple weeks ago. So it's funny. I'm like, oh, I think we'll be talking to your friend if I know who you're talking about, which I think I do.
No, it's always a pleasure going out and shooting hunting with him.
Awesome. So Lee, do you want to just let our audience know once more where they can find you?
At Cattleman ON on X, and I'm banned from everything else.
All right.
Of course you are.
Attaboy.
Of course.
Stews, what are we talking about next week?
Next week we are going to have the lovely Mary Kate Delvey on. You may know her on Twitter. She started the series Listen to Trans People, where she talks and just reads out what trans people are posting online. So she started that series a little while back. She is absolutely hilarious. So we're going to have her on. It's going to be probably not so gloomy as this devastating farming stuff going on. So we got to balance it out, right? we got to balance it out. So we'll be having a chat with her next week. So I'm looking forward to that.
Awesome. Can't wait. All right. Well, Lee, thanks again for joining us, and best of luck with everything that you're doing. I hope that you find your good community around you and continue to do what you're doing, because we need people like you, as Dave said. So thanks a lot for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you very much for having me.
Awesome. All right, audience, thanks for joining us once again. And please like and subscribe if you liked what you were hearing tonight, and go back and listen to our other podcasts. And I hope everyone has a great day. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.